have a wonderful interview that we're going to be doing with Mama Linda Goss. She is one of the founders of the Griot Circle of Maryland and the National Association of Black Storytellers. And she has a story to tell us today. How you doing, Mama Linda Goss? Doing great. I'm doing great. What I'm doing is I'm taping all the audio, because you said you want to do audio. I want to tape a good quality of audio through the telephone, and that audio will be nice and clear and crisp, so that I can hand that audio over to Loretto Gubernatis, who's going to take it and make it a part of her editing as she puts this interview on television. And it's a very interesting process, but she's got a better handle on it than I do. So I just want to thank you for being gracious enough to share with us on Keepers of the Flame. We are the ones who try to make sure our legacy doesn't die when we join the ancestors, so to speak. So you are a part of the legacy, but you are just a member, and then you became a co-founder of the National Association of Black Storytellers. All right. First of all, I don't want to assume that everybody knows what we're talking about here, so I'm going to ask you, what is a griot?
A griot is actually a French word that is used in Senegal and Gambia, which is in West Africa. The official language in Senegal and Gambia is French, even though their native tongues are spoken as well. But the griot was designated for the singing musicians throughout that area, and they came from a family just by their name. If you heard their name, you knew that they were a griot, and they would travel performing for the royalty, and they knew stories going all the way back hundreds and hundreds of years. When Alex Haley went to Africa and discovered his roots, he met the griots, and he brought that term back to the United States. He and Mother Mary Carter Smith were very good friends, and he loved her. He loved her storytelling, and he told her that she was a griot. She was an American griot. So she began using that term, and other black storytellers started using that term as well. So she, as we would say, she passed it on down. And that's the beauty and that's the importance of black storytelling, is that we hear something, we learn something, we share it, we pass it on down. And there is an African proverb that says, to know is good, to learn is better, but to share what you have learned and what you know is best of all. And that's what storytelling is all about, and that's what the griot is all about, is telling the story and keeping these stories alive.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, now, the National Association of Black Storytellers, what was your biggest challenge in helping to start that organization?
Well, actually, our biggest challenge was to get started. Mother Mary and I had the idea, and we would talk about it. We had the dream, we had the vision, and then we realized it had to be put into action. And Mother Mary said, I'm going to take it to Baltimore. I'm going to get with the sorority, her sorority, the Zeta Phi Beta sorority, and see if they will help us, because we had the idea, we had the prayer, we had our faith, we had our convictions and our determination, but we didn't have any money. So the Zetas sponsored us. They got us a grant, and as they say, the rest is history. The first festival was held on the campus of Morgan State University in November of 1983. And I guess the second challenge, so we thought, was going to be, where are the storytellers? Where are the people going to come from? Now, because Mother Mary and I both love to call out, so we gave out the call. Well, oh, well. And the people responded. People came from all over. Black folks came from all over the country to that festival at Morgan's campus. We had someone who came all the way from Alaska. And it was so many people there. And so they said this was so exciting. They want to know, is this going to continue? And I said, yes, I'm bringing everybody to Philadelphia. So in 1984, the festival came to Philadelphia.
My goodness. So everybody who came to the festival in Philadelphia was so excited about storytelling that they said, let's keep this thing going.
And so many people came. They were excited, and so they wanted to know, where is it going to go next? But Mother Mary and I said, hey, she took it to Baltimore. I brought it here to Philly. That was it. But the people said, no, this cannot die. This must live. This must continue. And they encouraged us to organize. And so the festival started in Baltimore, but the organization, which began as the Association of Black Storytellers, began in Philadelphia. It later became the National Association of Black Storytellers, and now our headquarters is here in Baltimore, Maryland, at the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum.
Listening to this, and they're going to want to be storytellers. What advice do you have for wannabe storytellers?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that just the fact that you're here, just the fact that you are alive, you are a story. You are a living story. And you have to have the will, the determination to tell that story, to get that story out. There is a calling. As Brother Blue used to say, may he rest in peace, storytelling is a call. We are called to tell stories. And indeed we are. So I advise people to be authentic, to tell their own story, to claim and reclaim their story. Because so many of our stories, let's be honest now, so many of our stories have been stolen. And other people have been known to tell our stories and take the credit for telling our own story. So it's very important for us to claim, reclaim, and recall the stories and let everyone know that, yes, we have a history, we have a wonderful history, and we are here in this country. We helped to build this country. Our ancestors, the bones, the blood, the work built this country off of the back of our ancestors. And yes, we have a story to tell, so it is important to get that story out.
My. You have been telling the story for quite a while. What has been the highlight of your griot experience?
Well, first of all, I enjoy what I do, and wherever I am called, I will come and tell a story. And you have to realize it's not about being paid. Of course of course you like to get a little something, but it's about wanting to share with others your story, and also wanting to hear. It's important to be a good listener if you want to be a good storyteller, to listen and show respect for the other person's story as well. Also, I have enjoyed when people will come up to me and say, I remember hearing you, let's say 30 years ago, and now I have brought my grandchild to hear you tell a story. So that shows that connection. That shows that whole thing of passing it on down. Also, I think it's important to realize what type of story you want to tell. In other words, most of us are oral storytellers, but we can also write our stories, sing our stories, dance our stories, quilt our stories, paint our stories, dramatize our stories, put them on the stage. So think in terms of all the ways in which you can tell a story. There are great recipes. There are great remedies in our tradition that need to be told, that need to be written down. People don't realize that even though they say they're trying to erase us and ban us, well, I say stop eating potato chips because a black man created that. Stop eating buffalo wings. A black man invented that. And definitely stop eating macaroni and cheese because we invented that. So you can't erase us. You can't ban us. We are here. We are part of the fabric of this country. We helped make, as a matter of fact, a 14-year-old helped sew one of the American flags, the one that Festus Scott Key wrote about. So we're all a part of this country.
Wow. And of course, it's all for us. We are all in the same boat. If this boat springs a leak, we all drown. So
that's right. That's right.
Well, you bring stories, you bring inspiration, you bring fables that can help people to correct their course. What advice do you have for all of us here in 2026?
Again, in 2026, this is very crucial because it's very important for everyone who is capable and who is qualified to vote. Many stories, many wonderful stories, stories my grandfather told me. There are stories about our people and their fight and about them getting the right to vote. We have to think about the Voting Rights Bill. All of these things are very important, and it's important for people to know the stories of how our people down south had to pay a poll tax, how they had to count marbles in a jar, how some of them were beaten up, fires were set to their homes. So it's very important to realize how everything is a story. Everything in this country is a story, and we are a part of that story. So right through here, it's very important to exercise your right to vote, and if you have concerns, to talk about that, to tell that story about that, to tell that story about what your ancestors went through. I remember one of my kinfolk was told who to vote for, because back in the day, if you worked in the homes of the white folks, they would tell you who to vote for. I remember she said, now I wanted to vote for Kennedy, but Mr. So-and-so and Master So-and-so, Miss So-and-so told me to vote for Nixon. So I voted for Nixon. So all those stories need to be told. So that's why it's very important.
All right. Well, you mentioned Tennessee, and you mentioned some of the jobs that you've had and folk you talked to along the way. Talk some more about your background.
Well, I was born and raised in Alcoa, Tennessee, which is at the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. It's an aluminum town. That's how it got its name. Alcoa stands for Aluminum Company of America. And at one time, it was the largest aluminum company in the world. My father, my grandfather, my uncles, everybody worked there at the plant. Now, if you were a black man, you worked at the plant, or you were lucky, maybe if you could teach, if you were educated, like my mother was a teacher, but my father was a laborer at that plant. And when that town started, first it was created by the aluminum company. It was part of North Maryville. And they brought black people out of the Deep South, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Mississippi, Arkansas, to come up to work at the company because they said it was so hot. And there were three big plants. There was the West plant, the North plant, and there was the pot room. And the pot room is where they melted the aluminum. And it was so hot. The temperatures were just so hot. So they felt that black people could stand that heat. And the plant never closed. It was open 24 hours. So my father would do the graveyard. That would be like from 12 from like 10 to 6. It was 10 to 6, 6 to 2, and 2 to 10. My grandfather worked at the pot room. Now, my grandfather, Granddaddy Murphy, he was a great storyteller. He told me a lot of stories. He would go to work dressed in a 3-piece suit with a pocket watch, the whole thing. He had on his two-tone shoes. He had his straw hat. And my grandfather, you know what his job was at the plant?
What was
my
it?
grandfather was the janitor. He mopped the floors. But he mopped the floors in a 3-piece suit. That's how proud he was. Because he had come from Alabama. He had come from where they used to sharecrop. We used to work on the plantation, where they used to work sun up to sundown. So you can't or can see no more. You know what I'm saying? So he was proud to have a job. And so, yes, he went to work in a 3-piece suit. So, again, that's the kind of town I came from. Now, I'm known for saying, well, oh, well. And that's a call I heard as a child growing up in Alcoa, Tennessee. My mother and father would take me to the black baseball games. And every time there was a home run, I would hear this voice all over the crowd. Well, oh, well. And I said, Mama, who is that? And she said, there ain't nobody but Mr. Squillum Carr. And one day we were shopping in town. She said, Linda, there he is. That's Mr. Squillum Carr. And he was a little old bitty man. Yeah, he had a powerful voice. And that was his name, Squillum Carr. Now, to this day, I never knew his real name.
Well, your story has certainly been out there because when I joined the Griot Circle of Maryland years ago, first thing I heard was, well, it's storytelling time. That's yours. I didn't even know it was yours. I thought that was just a standard opening for a griot. Well, it's storytelling time. Wow. Well, Mama Linda Goss, you really filled us in on a lot of our legacy and a lot of our history. You are truly a keeper of the flame. I appreciate all that you've done to establish the organization that I'm now a member of, the Griot Circle of Maryland, and of course, folks who want to find out more and even see a picture of you on that website. That's the that's the Griot Circle of Maryland, Inc. I think it's Griot Circle of Maryland, Inc. And you can go to that webpage and read up on the history of the Griot Circle of Maryland. And more importantly, there's a link to the National Association of Black Storytellers, so that if you're interested in joining either organization or both, you can do that. And if you need to contact somebody by telephone, you can reach out to Martha Ruff, who is one of our key communicators with the organization, and her telephone number is on the web page. And you can also contact me. I don't mind receiving calls about the Griot Circle of Maryland or the National Association of Black Storytellers. John Carrington, 443-520-8765. That's 443-520-8765. Mama Linda Goss, thank you ever so much for being a part of Keepers of the Flame, and thank you for the contributions you've made to keeping the legacy alive and letting us know about our past so that we won't be doomed to repeat some of it. Thank you ever so much. Thank you. John Carrington, thanking all of you for listening to Keepers of the Flame. Thank you.